Sean, talk me through the topic list that will have been discussed between Rishi Sunak and Zelensky.
Yeah, good afternoon, SJ. Inevitably, this is a round that Zelensky will be going around all the global leaders for an update. Front of house, closer defence cooperation. Zelensky always starts with a list of requirements for weapons, no doubt, wants ammunition, air defence weapons. But the three topics I suspect behind the scenes, that, first of all, President Zelensky was very upset about the NATO conference, didn't have a clear route through. He'll be looking forward to how that security is going to be guaranteed. And Rishi Sunak's been part of the sort of G7 conversation about potential security options. They will also be asking about the progress on the spring offensive. Bluntly, President Zelensky is going to have to manage expectations of the West. We're 7 weeks in, still no breakthrough. And also this grain deal. Ukraine is the 7th largest exporter of grain in the world. It's July and August are the harvesting times. They'll be very worried about how this progresses.
There's a real concern, isn't there, that Russia may try to ramp up its attack on Ukrainian exports. And this afternoon, James Cleverly, the Foreign Secretary, said that Russia could actually start targeting civilian ships in the Black Sea. Why is Russia targeting Ukrainian grain and food supplies?
The only answer to that, obviously, is President Putin's the one to know, but it is, ever since they walked away from the grain deal, Russia's been pounding the Odesa port facilities and the grain itself. And given the importance of it, there was a suggestion that some of the merchant shipping said they'd be prepared to run the gauntlet just to keep, because they earn a lot of money by obviously exporting the grain. But Russia's actually mined some of the port areas, and they've also said that any civilian ships making an approach, they'll assume that they're carrying arms, and therefore they'll be open to attack. And that prompted James Cleverly to tweet and to warn that actually there's a grave risk of this whole thing escalating. What's interesting, though, it's not just Odesa. So you don't just have to go across the Black Sea Fleet from Odesa. You can also use the Danube River to actually get grain out as well. Down it goes through Reni and up through Germany. But last night, the Russians targeted Reni. And actually, there were 15 drone attacks, 7 people injured in attacks there. What's deeply worrying is Reni is right on the border of Romania. Romania is a NATO weapons, and suddenly you've triggered a grave escalation in this. Now, from a military perspective, there's no reason for Russia to target that. It's purely trying to damage grain. And what's interesting, Russia claims that it's ready to negotiate again about grain. The UN Security Council is putting pressure. Even China, a normal bedfellow of Russia, is trying to put pressure on them. The harsh reality is, though, Russia is driving down global availability of grain. That's pushing up the prices. And who is the #1 exporter of grain in the world? It's Russia. So they're the ones who are going to benefit. They're weaponising grain. That's against the Geneva Convention. It's illegal. It's having global consequences.
And there's a lot going on in the Black Sea at the moment. And we've been talking over recent weeks about drone attacks. Russia reckon that they foiled one in the Black Sea. What details do we have about that?
Very sparse, inevitably, because it's out at sea. Russia claims that 2 maritime drones that were targeting the Black Sea Fleet, that they've actually shot them down. It's quite possible they have. What it does, though, is it illustrates the growth of use of drones in warfare. I mean, the Ukrainians have used them to attack the Crimea regularly. Only the other day, they said they'd used 17. Russia claimed, yeah, we shot them all down. And then afterwards admitted that their ammunition dump had been blown up and they'd evacuated 3 miles around it. Also in Moscow, you remember, there were a couple of drone attacks there. Yeah. Now, the thing about drone attacks, they're not always militarily effective, but actually, if you throw enough drones at it, some of them do get through. Quantity has a quality of its own. And it does appear we've sort of started the drone wars here, this level of innovation quickly to the front line. And I think what's topical is the latest announcement of aid by the US, a £300 million pound aid package, actually includes some Hornet nano drones, which is the first time we've seen these used. Now, these are tiny. They're about 6 inches long. They weigh about an ounce, but they can travel at 14 miles an hour. They can fly for 25 minutes, and they can provide live video footage straight from the battlefield in. And this is a part of the aid that's being provided by America. It's just amazing, the pace of development, and it's having a really significant impact on the battlefields in the war in Ukraine.